side. Now let's go over to the anti-lockdown side. And of course, you guys already know which side I'm on right now. I'm on the side of the anti-lockdown because there's so many points there. Very easy to discount some of the points of the pro-lockdown side. Doesn't mean that they don't have any sense. Doesn't mean that they don't have points, but it's very easy to handle those points. Now, we are going to be starting with the very first one. There is no assurance, there's no 100% assurance that you're actually ending up saving lives with the lockdowns. That's the fact. You are not sure that you are saving net lives. Like at the end of the day, you can't say that you save more lives than you would have saved if everybody were outside. You can't be very, very sure of that because this is the kind of situation where you don't have a countervailing or you don't have a counterfactual. You don't have a situation or an example that is opposite. No control for the experiment. Let's say this is an experiment. We don't have a control for the experiment, a population where that is being done, apart from, let's say, in Sweden. So in Nigeria, we don't have any part like that. Everybody's locking down. So there's no way for you to be able to test. Are we really sure that this thing is the best option to go with right now? Destroying the economy and all of that is the best option to go with right now to save more lives in the long run. Are you really sure? Because from the anti-lockdown side, the fact is that at the end of the day, people are still going to go outside. At the end of the day, there's no way for you to do it. People will have to go outside and they will get infected again. That's just it. They will get infected. Whether you stop it right now or you don't stop it right now, people will get infected. So that's just the way. So the best thing for us to do is to put people who are vulnerable inside. So let's say you have pre-existing condition, you have diabetes. Of course, diabetes patients tend to be among those who die the most from this thing. So yeah, you have diabetes, which of course will involve, let's say you are overweight. It's a very big risk for diabetes, heart issues, and all stuff like that. And of course, if you are old, which means your immune system is getting compromised, you are old, you have pre-existing condition, that is, those people should stay at home. Those people should be quarantined. So that's what they were trying to say. But those people who have very, very little susceptibility to this virus, even if you get it, there's almost no chance that you're going to die from it. If you're from, let's say, maybe age 0 to about 40 years old, you have like maybe 1 in 2,000 and something chances of dying from this thing. So it's almost negligible that you're going to die from this thing, even if you get it, and even if you have serious conditions from it. So that's it. Like, why don't you just leave those people who are healthy enough to go outside and fend for themselves? You have so many people out there who need to go out every single day to feed their families, who need to go out every single day to eat. And then another point is that there are so many people right now who have lost their jobs, so many job losses. Think about people who need the economy to be running for them to be able to do their daily jobs. You have people outside who sell stuff. Let's say those people are beside the road and they sell things for those people and traveling. You have filling stations. We have people selling so many things like that. Not only that, you're a tailor. I don't think there's anybody that's going to be sewing clothes around from you right now, which means your economy, your own microeconomy is bankrupt right now. So that's the problem. We have so many people affected by this thing. It's easy for us to say it. And of course, one thing you're going to notice is that most of those people who complain and say that the lockdown should continue are those people who are well-to-do. You just have to understand that they are those who are well-to-do, or those people who are being paid by the government. Let's say you're a government worker, or you work in, let's say you're a political appointee, you are a politician. Those are those people who are going to be easy for them to say, everybody go on lockdown. Because no matter what happens, they don't have to go out every single day and earn their living. They don't have to go out and do business with people to be able to eat. The taxpayers foot the bill for their own payment, for the payment of their own salaries. So they have nothing to worry about. The lockdown isn't going to affect them. They are going to get their checks. So that's the reason. So it's easy for them to say it, but it's not easy for those people who have to go out every single day. The regular mass, and that's most of those people. Most of the people in the country fall within that same demographic, of people who need to go out every single day to earn their living. So how can you just say, yes, everybody locked down when you know that it's easy for you to get your own, to get fed. So that's the reason. You have to consider from the aspect of people saying this thing. It's not just a whole bunch of ignorant people. It's not just a whole bunch of people out there who don't really care about the science. It's actually people being desperate. That's the reason. You have to understand that. That's the reason. And again, we have to understand that the lockdown is for us to flatten the curve. Again, it's for us to flatten the curve, not to actually save net lives at the end of the day. It's actually to flatten the curve so that the system Our health system is not going to be overwhelmed. So if our health system is not overwhelmed, what you're only doing is that more people are going to get it over a long period of time rather than getting all at once, and then the health system will not be able to cope with it. So at the end of the day, people are still going to get whether we like it or not. By the time we go back to work, people will still get this thing. So that's just it. Whether you wait for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, you will go back to work and people will still get it. So why not just go back right now and let only those people who are vulnerable stay at home? So that's just it. There's no way around this thing. Something more important, the lockdown has actually dealt a serious blow to the economy. We're actually having forecasts right now that Nigeria is heading for a recession. So what have we been able to achieve if at the end of the day people will still get the virus after the lockdown is lifted, whether it is now or later? Many countries around the world are actually preparing right now for a second wave in the winter. So which means whether you do it right now, you go back to work right now, or you don't go back to work, the virus will still spread when people go back. So that's just the case. The virus will spread when people go back. So in what case do you want to face the virus when it starts spreading again? In a strong economy or in a weak economy? In a weak economy, it means there's going to be increase in prices, so many things like that. It's going to be tougher on the masses. You're trying to save their lives. It's going to be tougher on the masses. It's going to be difficult for the masses to feed themselves while the virus comes back. Is that what you are talking about? Is that what you want to subject the masses to? Now, understand, you have good intentions, but we have to understand that the road to hell is like covered with good intentions. Doesn't mean that our politicians have bad intentions in mind, but that's just the situation. That's just the situation. And again, we have to understand this. There's just one simple thing that we have to understand is that this whole operation, not in all cases, but in a way, it's actually a CYA, cover your ass operation. So most politicians that are effecting this lockdown and all of that, they are doing it so that they will not be blamed if the thing tends to be tougher than they expected. But if it tends to be lower than they expected, they can easily claim that it is the lockdown or it was the lockdown that saved more lives. So it's like you're trying to choose this position where you won't get blamed at the end of the day. So that's exactly what they're trying to do. Because let's say that you're a leader now and the thing is spreading in your state and you refuse to do any sort of lockdown, or the only thing you just did was that, okay, people cover your noses and all of that, wear gloves, wash your hands, and that's all you did. Your political opponents are going to use that to attack you in the next election by saying that, well, everything was going down and many states were locking down, many countries all over the world were locking down, developed countries that you should think that maybe they were smarter, were locking down. You refuse to lock down, which means they will be able to blame you for the deaths of anybody that died. So that's the reason. So they're trying to cover their asses. That's exactly why they're doing it. So it is not only simply because they weigh the risk and, oh yeah, this risk is just too much. It is also because they are trying to cover their asses. You have to understand that. And again, we have to know that the palliatives from the government isn't reaching anywhere. It's not going to reach anywhere. Let's even say you are lucky to get one batch. There's no assurance you're going to get another batch. And who told you that the batch is going to be sufficient for your family to feed you? So that's just the situation. So the palliatives cannot compensate for for your feeding, for everything. Think about it. House rent. Who thinks about house rent? You're talking about feeding. Who thinks about house rent? You could be chased out of the house if you can't pay the house rent. So who thinks about the house rent? Who thinks about the school fees for your children when everything comes back? You think the school is going to accept that, okay, you can't pay school rent right now. Let's say you are sending your children to a private school and there's no payment right now. Let's say you work in the private sector, no payment right now. Or maybe you have been laid off because there's no profit for the organization. How are you going to be able to send your children to school? The palliatives don't involve that. They don't involve that. So that's just it. The palliatives cannot be enough. Apart from the fact that it doesn't even reach most Nigerians. Most Nigerians don't have access to any palliatives, whether it's by the state government or by the federal government. So that's the problem. So that's the problem. That's one of the reasons why the lifting of the lockdown is the wisest decision to carry out. So that's just the reason. And finally, there's increase in crime everywhere. Increase in crime right now. Just think about the situation. Let's say that everybody's locked down in a particular area. You need to buy food for your family members. Let's even say you have the money to buy the food. And most people don't even have that. Let's say you have the money to buy the food. And you know the food is in that store over there. That store over there. But the only reason why you can't buy it is because everyone is locked down and that person is prohibited from opening the store. If you get very desperate to a particular point, you're going to head over to that store and loot it overnight. So you're going to have increase in looting. And we're already increasing in that. It's one of the reasons why the government are starting to agree that, okay, we need to do what? Ease the lockdown little by little. It's not simply because they just wanted to help us, not simply because they have the interest of the citizens in mind. It's simply because they don't want social unrest. That's the reason, because they know people are going to start rioting at a particular point. It could even lead to a revolution or something of that nature. They don't want people to start rioting violently at a point. It's going to lead to a collapse of the social order. So that's the reason why they're starting to ease it, okay, so that they can at least pacify the people, or the pent-up anger can go down. So that's it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching the video. Subscribe to the channel. It's really going to help my channel to grow. And thank you for everyone that's been subscribing. I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Like the video and share. Thank you.